And if they do so, they'll still be employed within the railway industry. They will still have the pension and other entitlements that are provided, but it will be at their own initiative rather than on an all-line vacancy list.
Seniority, taking that with you?
Seniority is taken into account, but far more important is, in this industry, is suitability. And I think it'll become even more important as we look at satisfying customers and providing that service into the future.
As we know, you've been named as the director of the West Coast Operating Company. There are many questions about your plans for the route.
There has been rumour for the last 2 to 3 years of the West Coast Main Line terminating at Preston and regional railways taking over services north from Preston to Carlisle and to Scotland.
There's rumours it's going to be just freight it's coming up with, which is not beneficial to Scotland or England. The West Coast is needed. The East Coast couldn't cope with the amount of traffic. It's going up the West Coast and the East Coast at present. We'd like to know Ivor's points on that.
I'd like to know if Mr Warburton's centralising all these telephone inquiry bureaus into one or specific places, so that also could be hived off.
People get confused enough trying to travel from one end of the country to the other as it is, without having to buy different tickets on different price schemes, and to have different information coming from different sources.
To what extent have you developed your plans for the future of the West Coast?
Well, the comments that we heard about possible closure north of Preston, I think, are just malicious mischief-making.
And wrong.
Oh, quite wrong, quite wrong. The route north of Preston, north of Weaver Junction, was renewed some 10 to 15 years later than the sections further south, and is in remarkably good condition. Where we do have a problem is south of Rugby. Much of the signalling equipment is now reaching the end of its design life, and it's going to need replacing. And the good news is that over the last 2 years, when I started telling everyone this, perhaps I wasn't believed. But now it's very good to hear ministers of transport spouting this as if it were established fact. So that's one achievement. It says that there's a secure future for the infrastructure for the route on the West Coast. But they're quite right. Money has, in recent years, gone into the East Coast, into electrification and into new trains. And that's something that we have to address for the West Coast. It's not a crisis, but if we don't know where the money's coming from for renewal, and if we don't see some sort of investment in rolling stock over the next few years, by whatever means the new rolling stock leasing companies are able to make that rolling stock available, and I don't know the answer to that at the moment, how the mechanics of that will work, but we must see some rolling stock to ensure that we have a really long-term future.
Through tickets?
Through tickets is something where we're going to have to wait and see. I really don't know the answers.
This is essential, though, isn't it? It would be preposterous to have to buy 6 tickets to go from Plymouth to Glasgow.
It certainly caused a lot of complications, and my sympathies are entirely with my staff who say, let's see a sensible answer to this. But we don't know the form that that answer will take yet.
But you're saying quite categorically this has got to be got right.
Oh, I think it has to be got right. It's what the customer wants, and we would be foolish as an industry if we did not respond to that very basic need.
Any plans to contract out overnight services or on-board services?
No, they're an integral part of our delivery of a service of high quality to our customers. I intend to keep them part of the train operating company.
There are some depots, Oxley in particular, that feel threatened. Are they right too?
I don't think so. I've been to Oxley several times. I've met all the staff. I've reassured them. It's certainly true that 12 months ago there was an option, if we were to see new trains on the route, that we could have eliminated one of our existing depots. And certainly Oxley had very high costs in comparison with others. But as a result of putting in a very detailed consultant study, and as a result of the excellent reaction of almost all the staff, I think Oxley might now be safe.
You heard there some concern about centralising telephone inquiry bureaus.
Yes, I suppose in a way we've been centralising inquiries over recent years. We have fewer bureaux on the route than we had before. Next April they will all be part of the train operating company, although I understand that the Director of Rail Passenger Franchising is looking at whether he should not create one national service that gives neutral information to customers who ring up.
Now to the question of who are the private companies who are going to try to take over franchises, if indeed they're going to do so, and what BR management is going to do about it all.
Well, we'd like to know if Ivor has any plans for the management buyout as such, or is it left to individual companies to buy it out? And if so, we'd like to know who the individual companies are. We've heard stories that there's all these people interested, but nobody's told us exactly who's interested. We'd like to know who is interested in our place.
We do not know yet whether management will have the right to buy out any businesses. If they do, then obviously we would want to know whether staff would have the right to buy in, i.e. through a share issue, to have some say in the destiny of the company that they are going to work for.
It's no good a manager saying everything's going to be all right in the future when the staff think it's okay for you, pal. You're going to be part of a management buyout team and you're keeping all the information from us. People need to come clean and allay people's fears with these proposals.
So, come clean. Are you interested in a management buyout?
I think I'd very much like to lead a management buyout, but I think it requires two things. Firstly, I need to know exactly what the financial structure of a train operating company is going to be. And I don't believe that from everything the government has said, everything the board has said, everything I've read in privatisation news, I don't think I know enough yet to make a proper judgment as to whether it is going to be a robust business venture.
When are you going to know? We're coming up to the wire, aren't we?
Well, no, we're not. All we're doing next April is reorganising the industry. We're preparing ourselves so that we're in a shape for privatisation to take place subsequently. The government has announced that there are 7 shadow franchises, and indeed from this month Gatwick is running, very simple really, 7 trains shuttling between Victoria and Gatwick.
That's not going to prove anything, that though, is it?
Not as complicated as Intercity West Coast, I'll agree with you. But it will certainly show the basis on which the financial regime will operate. I hope to learn a lot from that. We're not one of the first 7 nominated shadow franchises. When we're nominated, and when I have all that information, then I need to make a decision on the basis of the second fact. Are my staff converting themselves, as they've started to do so well, from the old London Midland region into a real customer delivery organisation? And are they all prepared to be as committed as the driver on the clip who suggested that he might want to put his money into the future?
Does that mean that people would be able to buy in, ordinary staff be able to buy in if they want to?
It sounds an evasive answer. I certainly hope so. But we're not yet in a position to look at what the best financial structure and the best form of involvement would be for a franchise. It's an untried market.
Yeah, but there's nothing untried about having staff buy into their own company. It has sometimes spectacular results. But you can look at something like the NFC.
Nothing at all, which is why I say I certainly hope that that's the structure we finally choose.
Ivor Warburton, thank you very much indeed. This video is not, of course, the end of the communications process. You will obviously have many more questions. You've already received a copy of the first copy of the newsletter, West Coast Post. If you have any more questions, and I'm sure you will as a result of this video, then please send them to the following address: West Coast Post, Room 562, Mail Point 522, Stanier House, 10 Holiday Street, Birmingham B1 1TG.